Good morning, St. Francis. Good morning, people of God. It is Tuesday, the 5th day of November, 2024, Tuesday of the 31st week in Ordinary Time, the 31st week of the year. It is also in Great Britain, Guy Fawkes Day, which again celebrates the poor man who tried to engineer the gunpowder plot to blow up Parliament because he, a Roman Catholic guy, was angered, and all of his associates were angered that more civil liberties were not given to Catholics under the reign of James I in Great Britain. It's 1605, I think it is 1600, something like that. So it's Guy Fawkes Day in Great Britain about blowing up Parliament. It is also today Election Day here in the United States. That's about all I'll say. So again, a busy day. Well, I just went over to second grade, where they had, as you can see, where they had their own election over lemonade, apple cider, and orange juice. And so we'll see what the ballot polls return after today of which beverage is found to be best for us here at the Franciscan School. We just finished morning prayer a couple of minutes ago, and so just to kind of point out over here, if you happen to be here, the pomegranates, you can see them. They're just, again, they're a little bit maybe beyond ripe or just hitting full ripeness. Come to get them if you want to. They are edible. You can eat them. You can let the squirrels and there's people up there waving to me. There they are. You can see them in the windows. There are squirrels and birds that eat them, but they are edible. So there's a tree there. There's a tree over here too that you can see. So eat your pomegranates. Come and get it. It's very good. It's very good. So on today, on this 5th day of November, on the Tuesday of the 31st week of the year, we continue the Philippians letter that Paul writes, again with the great hymn to the Philippians, the great hymn of the Philippians to Jesus, which it doesn't seem to be just words that Paul writes to the Philippians, but there seems to be within this context of what Paul writes the essence of a hymn that either becomes used by the Philippians, the church in Philippi, or in other kinds of places. And remember, Paul's letter to the Philippians is all about unity and humility, because it is humility that can lead to unity. This thinking that I am not the only one, I am not the best, I am not, it is only my way or the highway. It is not about arrogance or power or control. It is about giving ourselves over and letting, again, God work through us, for those of us who dare to believe. And it should work for everyone too. But the understanding, again, that Paul tries to impress upon the Philippians is see what it means, to be humble through what Christ experienced. And so this great hymn of Christ basically emptying himself, taking the form of one of us, and not looking to be, powerful like God is, but willing to live this life. Now, again, Jesus is God, God is Jesus, but in this Philippian hymn, Jesus can seem to be something different, than God. But Paul is trying to make the point, is that God and God's own self, as Jesus, basically leaves the heavenly throne, and again, because of love for us and love for this world that God has created, basically God experiences what we experience, to know who it is that we are and what we are. So it's that humility comes a sharing in understanding of another, which is really what humility should always lead to. It's not just me being humble for my own sake, it's being humble to open myself up to everyone around me, as many people around me as I can, to understand them. Because again, it's this whole understanding, if I do not work to understand my brother and my sister, then I can never help my brother and my sister. And to the extent that I do not help my brother and my sister, the world suffers. I suffer, they suffer, everything suffers. My survival is not about my own survival, it is about your survival. And together we survive, together we move forward, together we achieve, together we move towards the promises that God has in store for us. It's always what Eucharist is about. Again, changing our understanding of eating and drinking, not just for ourselves, but that all of us may survive and all of us may succeed to become the people that God, has intended us to be. In Luke's Gospel today, we have this dinner party that this Pharisee is throwing, has invited Jesus to. Jesus has already said, don't invite, just powerful people and influential people. Invite the poor and the marginalized and those in the streets and things like that. Which is, again, thank you for coming to my party. Maybe you shouldn't be here too because everybody knows you. I'm going to go and find other people. But Jesus is there and the party continues. And I guess another scribe or Pharisee says to Jesus today, "Blessed are those who will die in the kingdom of heaven." Again, that's a good thing. But now Jesus qualifies who's going to dine in the kingdom of heaven. And so this is where a parable ensues about a man who has this great banquet. He throws it. He wants to throw it, sets everything up. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. Sends out invitations, to all of those who are notables and whatever, and for them to come, and they all have something else to do. It's almost like Chicken Little or Henny Penny. Who will help me break the who will help me bake the bread or whatever it is, and nobody wants to help Henny Penny or Chicken Little, and until it's done and they all want to eat it. But even here, nobody wanted to help to set up the banquet. Nobody wanted to help to work for the banquet. They were just invited, and even then they decide not to come, for whatever reasons. And there's a list of reasons that are given why people didn't take notice of this banquet. And so this great owner basically says, or the landowner or the banquet man basically says, well then go, to the highways and go to the hedgerows and go to all those places and just bring in anybody you can, the poor, the lame, whatever it is, let them all come so that this banquet hall may be filled. And again, it's the understanding that many are invited to this and many refuse to become a part, of this life that Jesus is offering. Again, a life of humility, a life that works towards unity, a life that allows us to see ourselves in the most perfect and glorious and wonderful way. If we do not allow ourselves to see that, if we do not allow ourselves to experience that, well, then we lose out. We lose out. And why would we want to lose out? Why would we want to lose out on something as wonderful as a glorious feast, a wonderful banquet, a place, where again, all of us can feel recognized, valued, and dignified in our lives. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God. May the Lord give you his peace.